Good evening from the Namoli Family Athletic and Intramural Complex on the grounds of the University of Tampa campus. This evening, the number 16 Tampa Spartans playing host to the Lynn Fighting Knights. I'm Bruce Wozniak here to call the action with you along with Connor Moore as 11-4 Tampa hosts 9-3 Lynn. More importantly, a Sunshine State Conference game between 5-0 Tampa, who is in first place in SSC, and Lynn at 4-1, ranked second in the conference. So a very important game, Connor, SSC-wise.
Yes, Bruce, this has a lot to do with the conference standings that have, at this point in the season, so critical. The Spartans hold an all-time series lead over the Fighting Knights, 6-0 here in the seventh encounter. Spartans dictating the tempo early, possessing the ball, working the shot clock. Here we go.
And you see UT starting off right to left here in the first quarter on your screen. UT wearing all white as a shot sails wide and out of play. Spartans in their white uniforms with red helmets, where Lynn in their blue uniforms with white trim and white helmets. And starting in goal for Lynn and making that save is junior Colin McClellan. And at the other end of the field, a little bit of a surprise as head coach Rory Whipple goes with Brian Karn to start this game. And as much as Karn has played this season, typically it's been B.J. Borowski who's been the starter. And we've seen a number of games this season where the two of them have split. But tonight, Brian Karn getting the start, possibly because he is a senior, and this is senior night here at the UT home game, which is their last home game of the regular season.
And for Brian Karn, he was a huge part of the prominent victory against Rollins last time out, as he had 6 saves against 9 shots, and we see another one there.
And another subplot to this game is that someone is going to have a streak come to an end, because UT comes into tonight's game having won 8 in a row, and Lynn comes in on a 6-game winning streak. So a lot on the line here as this game gets underway, and a beautiful Saturday evening for lacrosse as the two teams from here in the Sunshine State playing in a 81-degree game time temperature, and UT looking to draw first blood here as they go to work offensively. And with it right now is Shane Hanlon, and sends a pass over to Luke Curran. Curran back to Hanlon, and he'll try the other side over to Kanzai Gary, another one of the many seniors that was honored pregame. Is Curran on the move. It's passed over to Andrew Q. Q cuts through the middle, takes a shot, and it bounces wide and out of play, and possession remains with the Spartans.
Andrew Q, the All-American, of course, from last season. What a career he has had. Special night for him. Quality look that time.
Matt Vetter on the move. Indeed, Andrew Q, far and away the Spartans' leading point getter in 2019, 71 points on a team-high 42 goals and team-high 29 assists. And you see the shot clock expire. So the Fighting Knights catch a break there, and they start back quickly down the other end.
Yeah, Lynn is a tough team. They have a top 10 victory over the New York Institute of Technology Bears back in February. So this is a team that is comfortable playing in this atmosphere. Should be a great clash between the two top teams in the Sunshine State Conference.
Jared Shalou breaks in, sends a pass back, and now quickly over to Xander Cosenza. Get used to hearing his name. He's their leading goal and point getter.
Yeah, Cosenza, sophomore from Bayshore, New York. He's a gamer. He can create in a multitude of fashions. Spartan's going to key in on him defensively.
Nick McCabe going one-on-one, leaves a pass back. And now Shalou gives it back to him. McCabe across the other side to Cosenza. And the Fighting Knights will look to take it down behind the Spartans' net. And one-on-one back there, as making his move, is Connor Vaughn. Jack Tyrell watching defensively for the Spartans. Back up top now on the far side of the field. That's Cosenza. Cosenza being watched there. Goes past 2 defenders, takes a shot. And Karn may have gotten a piece of that one as it goes out of bounds. And just 4 seconds left on the shot clock for the Fighting Knights.
Yeah, Lynn pushing the tempo, and now not a lot of time to work with. They'll give it up. try to set up their defense now. But what a terrific job by the interior of the Spartans defense that time, holding strong, getting the defensive stop.
And so now UT starts out of their own end. This is Casey Platanik as he nears midfield under a little pressure, crosses midfield. Right, and the official throws a flag. We're going to get the first penalty of the game here. This is going to be against Lynn once they touch the ball. In the meantime, Matt Vetter in possession sends it up top to Jake Moshe McGraw. Sends his pass over for Chris Cox. Cox, patient, returns favor to Jake Moshe McGraw, who steps across the Lynn line. His pass over, Andrew Q wanted to shoot. Fakes. Wants to take that long shot, now does, and it bounces out of play. Possession will remain with the Spartans, but first we're going to have the game's first penalty, 5 minutes and 3 seconds into the contest.
Yeah, Andrew Q heavily contested that time, but he's so talented, he still gets the shot off. But for Lynn, they're going to live with that if he's double-teamed, taking those shots from a distance.
So 5 minutes, 3 seconds into the game, the Spartans will have the game's first power play. And an opportunity for them to go to work with their high-octane offense that averages exactly 15 goals a game.
Yeah, the Spartans will make you pay if you commit numerous penalties. They are so good with an advantage.
And the Lynn penalty against Christian Jenkins. A 1-minute penalty. And so the Spartans put it in on the far side of the field as Moshe McGraw gives it to Brian Wright. Now Matt Vetter sends it down low and gets it right back. Vetter pushes it over to the other side to Colin White. What a season Colin White has had.
Yeah, he stepped up in a huge
Matt Vetter. Oh, nice save there by Colin McClellan. On the rebound, they score!
That was a true work of art. Oh my goodness, off of the ricochet, the spin move, and the finish. Spartans first on the board.
A quick power play goal by UT as they draw first blood here, capitalizing on the penalty that had been called against Christian Jenkins. And Matt Vetter puts UT on the board. An unassisted goal. And it's 1-0 Spartans as Matt Vetter scores 5 minutes and 26 seconds into this game.
Yeah, and now you see Ross Dickerson, another All-American out there for the face-off. He's been so dynamite out there working. He's the first to the ground, grinding, with the Fighting Knights come away with it nicely.
And Ross Dickerson, thankfully for Spartans fans, is quote-unquote only a junior, so they've still got him around for another year. And the Fighting Knights looking to get on the scoreboard here as the Spartans have scored the game's first goal. And now it's sent in behind the UT net. And they set it up over on the far side of the field with Nick McCabe. McCabe on the move, being chased. And Jack Tyrell moves out on him, he scores!
Penetrating the defense, the red shirt sophomore from Boca Raton, the equalizer.
There was just that moment where the Tampa defenders switched, and he found that opening and puts it in behind Brian Karn to very quickly even the score. That goal comes at the 6-minute, 10-second mark.
And for McCabe, he has 20 assists on the season, 33 goals, but showing he is more than just a passer that time with a laser shot through Karn, back of the net, 8:50 to go in the first.
And Dickerson will not control that faceoff. Has a nice job there by Dryden Browse. He goes off, and the Fighting Knights, who have just scored to tie it at 1. And quick defense there, applied by Casey Platanik, but settling it down, Jared Shalou.
And Bruce, we talked about the magnificent crowd we had for the first game for the women on Senior Day at 1 o'clock. How about this crowd we got for the night portion? Just a great sight to see.
And Brian Karn not only makes the save, but quickly outlets it. There's a whistle, and possession will remain with the Spartans. as we are 1-1 early on here in this final regular season home game for UT. Yet another successful campaign for them, as I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast. 11-4, their one-loss record, and currently ranked number 16. Coming into this game is Brian Wright. Steps across the line. Wright with a little move, has some space, scores! Brian Wright, what a laser over the shoulder of Colin McClelland. And UT regains the lead as Brian Wright puts it on the top shelf.
Yeah, Brian Wright, he was hurt in the early going of the season, but he's back and he looks as good as ever. And what an element that the Spartans have when he's playing at full capacity. Brian Wright that time, just an outstanding play to give his team the lead.
And for Wright, that is his 14th goal of the season. And indeed, a shot in the arm for the Spartans after the Fighting Knights had answered quickly to UT's opening goal. Ross Dickerson coming out with that one, crosses midfield, and he'll take it across the Lynn line, sends a pass in, and now he'll look to head off the field, as does Dylan Carter. Jake Moshe McGraw coming out on the field, as will Brian Wright. And Jake Moshe McGraw with it right now.
Tonight's game officiated by Tony Collette, Ed Feaster, Roy Condone. But we mentioned, Bruce, this has been a high-octane game. There has not been a lot of whistles thus far, as both teams going out and getting it.
Andrew Q going to work from the far side of the field. Q takes a bounce shot, and McClellan didn't see it. But they score on the rebound.
Talk about strength that time. Andrew Q dialing it back a notch that time, and that ball hopped about 2 or 3 times before it finally finds the back of the net, and the Spartans up 3-1.
Number 42, Andrew Q.
Well, and you'll take him any way you can get him. And over the course of a season, you're going to get some bounces that will go your way and some that don't. They all even out, but in that case, certainly one in favor of the Spartans.
And with that, we'll get a word from the Lynn Fighting Knights.
So back here during this timeout, as the teams talk about it on the sidelines, and the Spartans catching that break there to go up 3-1, as Andrew Q now up to 43 goals on the season, and another impressive campaign for Andrew Q, as UT off to a 3-1 lead here, courtesy of 3 different goal scorers.
Yeah, it's an impressive sight to see at this point in the game for the Spartans right now, because even though they got off to this electric start, it feels like this is just the beginning almost, where they can get in a full groove and get everybody involved, similarly like we saw earlier today. But an important face-off here out of the timeout for Ross Dickerson. He has been a hard man to stop. He'll be countered by Dryden and Browse.
And I'm sure that's exactly what head coach Brian Kingsbury just told to his Fighting Knights during that timeout, is this is an important face-off. Let's not let this game get away from us. It's only 3-1. It's early. A lot of lacrosse left to be played. And we've proven that we can play with the best of them. As you mentioned, they beat a ranked team this year. They're 9-3. So they want to make sure that they stay right with the Spartans. As you see that shot go out of bounds, possession remains with Lynn, and they put it in play on the far side of the field, and they'll reset up top. That's Daniel Louette, and over now for Jared Chaloux. Looks to the sidelines, and they do make one more change as Xander Cosenza steps out on the field. Chaloux keeping it for now, being chased by Hunter Van Horn and surveying his options. And Chaloux wants to go one-on-one with Van Horn again, but instead sends it back to McCabe. McCabe, as Gavin Perry comes way out on him. And now it's sent over to Chaloux. Looked like he wanted to shoot. Nice defense there by the Spartans, and no shot opportunity thanks to the hard work of Nicholas Perrott. And instead it's Cosenza.
Yeah, the on-ball defense.
Takes a shot, scores! Cosenza on the move, beating Brian Karn. And so indeed, the Fighting Knights respond after the timeout, and it's 3-2.
Well, what I like about what Brian Kingsbury did that time is he started the playoff by having all of his attackers on the right side, and then he had a curl route, and that allowed the opening for that play in kind of no man's land that time, and that left Brian Karn on an island. And now the Fighting Knights at the 5:56 mark get an important goal to narrow the lead to 1.
And it's also interesting, Connor, in that you hear Shalhoub's name being called a lot. He's actually 7th on the team in points, so not really one of their top point getters that you would expect to be hearing called a lot. So perhaps a decoy by Coach Kingsbury to draw the Spartans over to an unknown, and all of a sudden they get the finish, and they're right back in it at 3-2.
Absolutely, and we see Ross Stiggerson win the ensuing faceoff, one of the best specialists in the nation. He has the 5th best faceoff winning precision in Division II at a 76.6% clip entering tonight.
Andrew Q from the far side of the field. Q looking to pass, has Chris Cox. Cox takes a shot. McClellan stopped it and then didn't see the rebound. The Spartans able to come down with it. And over to Matt Vetter. Vetter being chased. And he'll slow things up. As watching closely, Daniel Louette, he's going to chase Vetter. And Vetter thought he had a step on him, and now they force him all the way back to the restraining line as the pass goes over to Chris Cox. Down low to Brian Wright. Wright, as Colin White is back there to set a pick. Wright comes out in front, and they wrap him up, and they're able to cause a turnover. And now the Spartans take it right back.
Defense at a premium right now. 2 straight turnovers. Let's see what happens next.
Matt Vetter in close. Vetter goes down, and the Fighting Knights able to pick up the rebound.
And the officials are letting them play at this point. It's a physical ball game. Which team wants it more?
And we're down to just a little more than 4 minutes left in the first quarter. Only 1 penalty called so far, as the goaltender McClelland, all the way up at his own line, sends a pass up ahead. And that may have been time, as it's turned over, and the Spartans, Andrew Q wound up, wanted to shoot. Now it doesn't, scores!
Following the violation, Andrew Q, he gets a seam that time, explodes up the right sideline, and then he grips it and rips it, and the Spartans up 4-2.
His second goal of the game, giving him 44 on the season. That goal comes with 3:59 left here in the first quarter. And so the Spartans, with a little breathing room after the Fighting Knights following the timeout, had drawn back within 1.
Yeah, so much on the line, as you mentioned earlier, Bruce. The Spartans 5-0 in league play, Lynn 4-1, and we all know about tiebreakers, how imperative that can be. So the Spartans do not want to take any chances at home, looking sharp in the early goings.
Yeah, and for the record, I mentioned that this is UT's final regular season home game. They close the season a week from today on the road, and that game will be against Palm Beach Atlantic, obviously another SSC game, making tonight's game even that much more important, because it is against the closest pursuer, Tampa 5-0, Lynn 4-1. As it's on the far side of the field now, and Hunter Van Horn takes the pass from Nicholas Perrott. And some changes here as Kansai Gary steps out in the field, receives the pass from Andrew Q, and joined by Luke Curran, who receives the pass, and Shane Hanlon out there now as well. Curran over to Hanlon. Back to Curran again, looks to his right, returns it to Hanlon. Hanlon starts his move, steps over the line, and now he'll leave it for Luke Curran. Curran looking for some room to work, may have it if he can get in behind the defender. Now takes a long shot, and that one sails out of play. Possession remains with UT.
Credit the Lynn defense that time, because that was a laser of a shot, but it was from a deep trajectory, and now the Spartans looking to move from the X.
Andrew Q quickly on the restart, and Q backing up and gets some help there, breaks in, Q scores! Andrew Q, 3 goals already. And the Spartans with a 3-goal lead. Andrew Q has outscored Lynn single-handedly as he's up to 45 goals on the season. Just 2:40 left here in the first quarter.
Yeah, and Andrew Q, give him a ton of credit with how he has been able to adjust, because Lynn, they've defended him several different ways, but he has proven to be a multi-dimensional player, and he is showing that tonight. 5-2 Spartans lead. And how about Coach Rory Whipple having the trust in his players to go out and make plays?
Ross Dickerson wins the faceoff, takes it down himself, and his shot goes out of bounds. The Spartans making their shots count tonight so far. They've scored 5 goals on 9 shots. And overall shot total 14, so 9 of the 14 have been on goal, 5 of the 9 have gone in. And now Lynn trying to settle things down with 2:15 to go here in the first quarter and trailing 5-2. And here's Nick McCabe being watched by Hunter Van Horn. A long pass across and a shot coming. They score! A bounce shot by Chase Stokes and beats Brian Karn. So Lynn, to their credit, comes right back and cuts it to 5-3.
Yeah, sophomore from Vero Beach that time. Skip shot. What a response for Lynn, keeping this game close for the time being, 5-3. Anything that the Spartans do, Lynn seems to keep hanging around and finding a way to get back in this.
And this time we'll have Devin Hess taking the face-off for UT against Dryden Browse of the Fighting Knights. 2:01 left now in the first quarter. And the face-off controlled cleanly by Browse across the UT line. Browse keeps it himself and scores! Single-handedly, Dryden Browse. I don't want to say coast to coast, but from the face-off circle to the net, did it all himself, and just like that, it's 5-4.
Yeah, basically a 40-yard dash right there. 7 seconds after the Spartan goal. Pardon that, it was consecutive goals for Lynn right now, so they're wasting no time. They're on a run of their own, and all of a sudden, following the Q goal that made it 5-2, 2 straight goals in a short time frame for the Fighting Knights.
And so Coach Whipple says we'll give you a different look and send Dickerson back out this time for the face-off. And he's able to win it against Browse. And Jack Tyrell plays it back to the goaltender Karn. And over here on the near side, starting it up, is Nicholas Parrott. And returns it to Karn. Brian Karn needs some help, and now whips it up ahead. It was intended for, well, now it's taken over at the other end of the field. An errant pass there as Evan Kalish has it, and up ahead now Daniel Lewitt, as there's 1 minute and 17 seconds left in the first quarter, and it's a 1-goal lead for the Spartans as they were starting to show signs of possibly pulling away, and the Fighting Knights said, not just yet.
Yeah, Lynn, they've been resilient now, winning the 50-50 balls. That's been a huge part of it, and they've retained a lot of the possession. Spartans, they've had opportunities, but they've come at limited costs. Right now, possessing the time of possession are the Fighting Knights.
And Lynn will have to get a shot off before the game clock expires. There's a difference between the game clock and the shot clock of approximately 10 seconds. And here go the Fighting Knights as McCabe breaks in and tried to get around his check, which was Platanic. And Cosenza scores! Xander Cosenza ties it with 16.8 seconds left in the first quarter, and it's a brand new game.
Yeah, 3 straight unanswered goals for Lynn, and that was not a bad defensive sequence by the Spartans. Just a player making a play, going through 3 Spartan defenders. How about that? He took a beating after that as well. He got everything for that one. 5-5 as we come to the last few seconds of the first period.
So with 16.8 seconds left, if this faceoff is clean, there should be time for whichever team wins it to get a shot on goal, and that's going to be Dryden Browse right in front. A chance for the Fighting Knights. They score! How about that? Caleb Wells with 9.2 seconds left. And now you can say the Fighting Knights have come all the way back.
Yeah, Lynn, they have not been phased whatsoever tonight. They got down early, but 4 consecutive goals, and they've come at a quick response. They have not worked too much offense. They have come right down the field in attack mode, and they are going right into the heart of the Spartan defense right now.
And the faceoff now is Dickerson out there for UT. And Dryden Browse has been impressive. Dickerson takes that one. He's going to pass it up ahead to no one in particular as it sails out of bounds with 3.3 seconds left in the first quarter. And McClelland sends a long ball that's not going to reach anyone as the horn goes to end the first quarter. So our score at the end of 15 minutes, Lynn 6 and Tampa 5. And we'll be back right after this.
Get a quick word from our friends over at Barnes & Noble.
Spartans are stunned. They led 5-2 and find themselves now at the end of the first quarter trailing 6-5. And in that first quarter, 3 goals for the home team from Andrew Pugh and single tallies from Matt Vetter and Brian Wright. But on the other side of the ledger, a balanced attack by Lynn as they've gotten goals from 5 different players. Xander Cosenza does have a pair. And so let's see what adjustments the Spartans make as head coach Rory Whipple sending Ross Dickerson out there to take this face-off to start the second quarter as the teams, of course, have switched ends. And UT seemed like they were on the verge of potentially putting their foot on the gas, and all of a sudden it's put the brakes on because now instead of leading, as I mentioned, by 3, they trail by 1. And alarming from that first quarter is that the Spartans committed 5 turnovers, so they're not helping their own cause that way.
Absolutely, and the last few turnovers came in the last couple minutes for the Spartans, so they had gone the majority of the first period without committing turnovers, only had 1 or 2 throughout the first 10-plus minutes, but credit Lynn for the transition defense turning into offense, and now we begin the second period. Spartans will look to retake some of this momentum.
And if by chance you were wondering, would Coach Whipple do something like change goaltenders at the end of the first quarter? No, he did not. It's still Brian Karn in between the pipes for the Spartans. And you see that the first offensive possession of the second quarter is with the Fighting Knights. And Connor, I think that for the Fighting Knights and Coach Brian Kingsbury, they probably wish there was no quarter break, that they could have just kept playing straight through. They really had the momentum.
Yeah, that's how the intermissions work. It tends to give teams advantages because now the Spartans get to reabsorb and regroup and get ready. And at this point, look to get going defensively and hope that that'll equate in offense.
And a chance for Coach Whipple to draw things up a little bit as we have a flag on the far side of the field. So obviously this is going to be a penalty against UT once they touch the ball or it goes out of play. In the meantime, they carry on with Lynn behind the net, Nick McCabe. And McCabe giving instructions to his teammates, a little spin move there. McCabe still with it and gets a shot off. That one goes out of play. And so with the stoppage, 1 minute and 4 seconds into the second quarter, we'll have the first UT penalty of the game. We saw one called against Lynn in that first quarter. And so something that the Spartans didn't need is now a man advantage opportunity for the Fighting Knights.
Yeah, and this game's going to come down to which team can adjust better to the officiating, because the game started out, everything was being allowed. At this point, starting to see in the first minute or so the whistle tighten up, so let's see what happens here.
It was a 1-minute penalty against Dylan Carter. So here go the Fighting Knights working with the man advantage. Shot faked by McCabe, lobbed inside and intercepted cleanly by the Spartans as it was taken away by Julian Bombart.
Yeah, how about Coach Roy Whipple electing to go with the zone there, and Lynn not expecting that whatsoever. Interception, Spartans on the push.
Gavin Perry raced it up the far side of the field with pass to Vetter, and now back to Hunter Van Horn. They're obviously going to kill off the balance of this penalty assessed to Dylan Carter as it's down to 16 seconds on the penalty clock. And so the Spartans, you take the little bits of positives that you can get, and this will be one of them, in that they will kill this penalty off.
Definitely, and it's a 60-minute ball game, so obviously the entirety of the game is not going to go exactly how you hope. However, you can do your best to prepare yourselves to be there at the end, and that's what the Spartans are doing right now, just trying to hang around, regain the momentum. And
the penalty did expire, so now the Spartans working offensively as it's Chris Cox racing in behind the net. Cox being chased there, sends a quick pass to Andrew Q. His spin move, and Q is going to have to take it all the way down in behind the Lynn net. Q looking in front, still has it, being watched there by Kalish, and takes a shot, hit the goalpost, and a big rebound, and able to pick it up was Greg Morissette. And so the Fighting Knights escape a potential fourth goal from Andrew Q. He's been red hot already tonight, and they're back to work offensively.
Submarine shot that time by Andrew Q. What an artist he is with those, mixing up those angles and getting quality looks even when the defense is all over him.
Jared Shalou, one-on-one on the far side of the field there. Being watched closely by Julian Bombart. And Shalou tries to get a step, and he'll have to take it in behind the Spartan net. His pass connects with Mikey Urso. And strong defense there by Jack Tyrell. And he is a force to get past and limits Mikey Urso, who finally has to give it up. Connor Vaughn, and Vaughn will go one-on-one here against Sam Collingwood. And Collingwood with some nice play. And there's a shot, they score. The other 49, Caleb Wells, after some strong defense from UT's 49, Sam Collingwood. And so Lynn now extends their lead to 7-5, 3 minutes, 45 seconds into the second quarter.
And Bruce, does this not have the same feel as the Rollins game Wednesday, where one team gets going and then the other team comes right back at you? That's what it seems like right now. The Spartans started the game off to a blazing start, and now Lynn, they have all of the momentum at this point, so it's imperative for the Spartans right now. Win this face-off here with Dickerson, get going, get a goal, everything's okay, as we still have 11:15 to go in the half.
5 consecutive goals by the Fighting Knights. UT had led 5-2. Now here comes Dickerson, and quickly on the relay, and the shot taken by Matt Vetter went out of bounds. And so UT puts it back in. Colin White, Q in front of his own sideline, back into the corner to White. White over behind the net to Matt Vetter. Vetter up top to Curran, to Gary, and now to Hanlon. And here's Q starting from the near sideline. Q looking for some room, has a little bit of an opening, a pass in front, doesn't connect with Matt Vetter. However, on the rebound, there's a shot, and it goes wide, but the Spartans get the rebound. Bounce shot, scores! Matt Vetter! And the scoring spree ends for the Fighting Knights as UT gets back on the board. It's 7-6.
And that was just the play that Coach Roy Whipple drew up. Now we have some pinball action, but credit the Spartans, was not easy. They followed through, and there were a few loose balls, and eventually Matt Vetter picks it up, and that's a heck of a shot there to make it a 1-point game.
Well, it's all about ball awareness and being ready for things like rebounds, some of those small openings that they fought for. And eventually they're able to convert, and Matt Vetter hits the goal to stem the tide.
And as you were saying, Bruce, that was 5 straight goals for Lynn. So this one for the Spartans means a lot mentally for them now, knowing they can take it back into their possession.
And another good face-off win there by Dickerson, who gives it to Q and sends it quickly into the corner. Colin White sending it over to the other side to Vetter. Matt Vetter, as the Spartans make some changes. Out comes Kansai Gary. He has the ball, and he'll send it over to Shane Hanlon. Back to Gary, and to the other side to Luke Curran. Back to Gary again, and now here's Hanlon. Hanlon gets a pick. Sends it over to Curran. Curran steps over the line. His pass connects with Q, sends it back up top. Hanlon will return the favor to Andrew Q. Q way outside the line. And now Curran. 30 seconds on the shot clock. And we're down to 9:45 in the first half. 7-6, Lynn in the lead. There's Vetter working from the corner. Vetter can't get around his own teammate Curran, so he has to back up. And now Vetter flips it inside, intended for Curran. And the Fighting Knights able to take that one away. And they start back and cross midfield.
Exceptional half-field defense that time by the Fighting Knights. Spartans were late in the shot clock and eventually did not have anything available. And now the Fighting Knights up by 1 as we approach 9 minutes to go in the first half. We're looking to get back on track.
Jared Shalou, as now Nick McCabe has stepped on the field and going off Jensen Kohlberg. Outsteps Xander Cosenza.
And how about this defense by the Spartans? Lynn looking around, no one open.
Shalou leaves it there for Cosenza. Cosenza has 2 goals. And he's looking for an open teammate. Has to return it to Shalou. Now working from behind the net. And nothing there as Mikey Urso retreats back in behind Brian Karn once again. Urso, nice job defensively by UT, Connor, as you said. And now a flag thrown. We're going to have another penalty called against the Spartans. So a man advantage coming up for Lynn as this comes with 8:17 left here in the first half.
Yeah, even though the Spartans are going to be penalized, that is fundamental defense at its best right there by the Spartans. Only 8 on the shot clock for Lynn. But we mentioned earlier how the officiating is going to dictate this game and how both teams need to adjust. In the beginning, both teams were allowed to play. Second period hasn't been the case as much.
The UT penalty to Gavin Perry, 30 seconds for holding. And Lynn did score very fast into their man advantage the last time. They'll have to work even faster now since it's a 30-second and not a 1-minute penalty.
Spartans short-handed here trying to get a stop.
And so the penalty down to 3 seconds. Will they get it? They shoot it over top of the net.
Yeah, and what a defensive stance by the Spartans.
Not able to take advantage of that man advantage, although they do still have the ball. And now it's in behind goaltender Brian Karn. And there's some great help and aggressive defense from Hunter Van Horn. As this is Mikey Urso working, fakes the shot and can't get inside. There's an opportunity, and again, the Spartans, a nice save there by Karn. The Spartans very strong defensively and not letting Lynn get any quality scoring chances, at least on that possession.
Yeah, Spartans have been extremely sharp in the second period right now. Lynn is giving them everything they can handle, but now numbers for the Spartans, but they'll push it out and work some offense.
Better fakes the pass into motion. McGraw. Chris Cox has a little bit of room to work with. Sends it over to Andrew Q. Q looking as his team makes changes. Gives it to Brian Wright, who just stepped on.
Brian Wright getting his number called upon. Look for them to run through him on this sequence.
The defender daring him, and now he takes that lane and carries on behind the net. And Wright pivots quickly. Wright back out in front. The ball is loose. and the ground ball picked up by the Fighting Knights as they'll play it back on a long outlet pass as the Knights in transition here and gain the Tampa line. Daniel Louette leaves it for Shalou, and with the way the Spartans have been playing defensively, I think the Fighting Knights are probably going to decide we need to work fast on this defense and not allow them time to set up and play that strong physical play that they've seen so far.
That's a terrific point. Early in this game, we were wondering, is this going to be an offensive shootout in the 20s perhaps? Not the case right now, at least, as both defenses have stepped up and limited the offensive attack.
And here's Noah Kellner over to Shalou. This pass connects with Conrad Ryan, and it's on the ground, picked up there by Connor Vaughn. Vaughn in behind the net, and this is where we've seen the Spartans excel defensively. As you see him go down, and the ball pops out. Where is it? And a bunch of them battle for it, and a big check put on there by Caleb Wells of the Fighting Knights. And play getting physical now, as this is Noah Kellner with it.
And now the crowd is getting involved. Both of these teams need to stay composed right now and allow the game to even this out as we have 5 minutes to go or so in the first half.
The shot clock expired there. So you saw the Fighting Knights throw that one away. And UT trying to start out of their own end. And that's Sam Collingwood. Collingwood connects up ahead with Colin White. Finds Matt Vetter right on the Lynn line.
And now the Spartans setting it up in the half. Substitutions coming forward as we see Shane Hanlon enter.
And Hanlon looks over as he knows there's another player coming out, and that's Luke Curran. He gives it to him. Curran across the Lynn line. Curran's going to take it all the way in behind the Fighting Knights net. Circles around it and sends it back up top. And Q dropped it, and it's turned over. They'll go back the other way. Ian Magnan with the recovery, although look at the pressure being applied there by Shane Hanlon from UT. And excitement on the Fighting Knights sideline. Breaking in, here's a shot, and that one goes wide off the stick of Conrad Ryan.
Both teams in each other's grills right now, and nothing is coming easy at this point, as this second period in particular seeming to drag on, and defense is the shining moment.
And now all of a sudden we seem to have a lot of emotion, and let's see what the coaches do to curtail that to the extent where you don't take any penalties unnecessarily.
Yeah, and this is the beauty of competition. Two top-tier teams going head-to-head. Both teams want it so badly. It's a bummer one of them will have to come up short because both teams giving everything on the line.
Casey Platanik watching Nick McCabe. Back to Shalou, and now Cosenza. Cosenza tries to get between the defenders. He scores! Xander Cosenza split the UT defense and puts that one behind Brian Karn. And the Fighting Knights restore their 2-goal lead. It's 8-6 with 3:20 left here in the first half.
Yeah, we had talked about Cosenza in the pregame, and he is not disappointed thus far. Him and Andrew Q have been the two studs in this game, and I believe this game, as both offenses will go to the half in about 3 minutes, 20 seconds, will focus on those two individuals. So it's going to be the secondary contributors, which ones will step up enough to propel their team.
And you mentioned it's a shame that one of these teams is going to have to lose. Our score is 8-6, and I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast that the Spartans come in with an 8-game winning streak, and Lynn comes in with a 6-game winning streak.
And we'll get a quick word from Krispy Kreme. They're serving hot donuts now.
And back with you here as the teams are in a timeout. We have 3:13 left in the first half, and take this opportunity to remind you that at halftime, the audio portion of our broadcast will go silent. Do not adjust your viewing device. Just set a timer for 10 minutes at that point to be back in time for the call of the third quarter. You will see video on your screen. And glad to have you with us on this Saturday night. I'm Bruce Wozniak along with Connor Moore, as it's the Spartans' final regular season home game of 2019 before they play one final time to close out the 2019 regular season campaign. That game will be 1 week from today, an afternoon contest in West Palm Beach when they take on the Palm Beach Atlantic Sailfish, who Connor and I saw their women's team lose to UT's women's team earlier here on the same field this afternoon.
Yeah, and let's take a moment really to congratulate. It's senior day. We mentioned the women earlier, 5th ranked in the nation. They put on 23 goals in what was an offensive clinic. A lot of kudos to head coach Kelly Gallagher. And now for the men, really like this timeout by Coach Roy Whipple. Look to settle the troops here, get back on track, trailing by 2. They know what they got to do. Here we go.
Here goes Andrew Q, who has 3 goals so far tonight. And I say so far because you know that we haven't heard the last from him. Q has 45 goals this season. And there's an opportunity. Strong defense by the Knights. They're able to cause a turnover, and that's their 4th caused turnover of the game. And UT has committed 8 turnovers. So as much as the Spartans have won 11 of 17 faceoffs, thank goodness they've won 11 of 17 faceoffs, because otherwise they're not getting enough possessions. Otherwise they could have had this game at least tied by now, as we're going to have a timeout called by head coach Brian Kingsbury of the Lynn Fighting Knights.
Get a quick word from Pizza Hut. Make it great.
Your pizza loaded with cheese, then have we got a crust for you. Pizza Hut's ultimate cheesy crust pizza. 16 cheesy pockets overflowing with a 5-cheese blend of melted cheeses. Only from Pizza Hut, and only for a limited time. No one out.
Back live here as the Fighting Knights call the timeout with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left here in the second quarter. And the Fighting Knights, I mentioned they have a 6-game winning streak. They will have their senior day and wrap up their season also 1 week from today, a 1 o'clock home game against St. Leo. So again, Connor, we know everybody in Sunshine State Conference play at this point in their schedules.
Yeah, you mentioned St. Leo. They're currently in a tie for 3rd with Florida Tech at 3-2. So season dwindling down, and both of these teams at least want to give it their best. And we're seeing that on full display tonight. 2:35 left to go in the half. 14 goals have been scored, and defense has been the name of the game thus far. So both teams will look to enter the half playing their best ball.
And I encourage you to stay with TampaSpartans.com for the latest news about the team as they wrap up the season on the road, so that you know what's in store playoff-wise once the regular season wraps up. As play has resumed here, down to 2 minutes and 22 seconds left in the second quarter, and a 2-goal lead for Lynn at 8-6 as they have the ball right now. This is Cosenza. Cosenza puts his shoulder down, takes a shot. That one goes out of play. So Cosenza has matched Andrew Q in that they each lead their team with 3 goals each, as it's put back into play by Nick McCabe. McCabe being watched there by Sam Collingwood. Collingwood whacks at him, and McCabe runs out of real estate, has to take it back behind the net. And now McCabe wants to shoot, does, and that one goes wide and out of play. Possession remains with the Fighting Knights as we're down to 1:53 here in the first half. And putting it back into play on the far side will be Jared Shalou, a sophomore from Boca Raton, so not too far from him, meaning playing at Lynn, which is right there in his own backyard.
Only 7 to shoot for the Fighting Knights. Spartans defense creating havoc.
And there's a shot that's going to go out of play. And so we saw this before where the shot clock runs out on Lynn, and they just have to throw it away. And so the Spartans will get another possession as there's 90 seconds left here in the first half.
Spartans showing the world how to play defense on that last sequence. Could not have done it any better.
And they say that defense wins championships, so when you're not scoring the way that you're used to scoring, if you can count on your defense to at least get you the ball back, all the better, and that's been the case so far for UT here in the first half, as it's Colin White on the far side of the field to Matt Vetter as UT makes personnel changes. Out steps Jake Moshe McGraw, Chris Cox, and Brian Wright, and this is Cox with it right now. Back to Moshe McGraw and over to Brian Wright as we're down to less than a minute now. Wright is going to take it all the way in behind the Lynn net, directly behind goaltender Colin McClelland. Takes a look at the scoreboard to see how much time is left. There is a difference between the game clock and the shot clock, however, of approximately 9 seconds. So UT can't run out the game clock. Colin White behind the net. And now ducking under a check, Matt Vetter. Vetter looks for help right in front. White scores! Colin White buries it behind Colin McClelland. And it's back to a one-goal game, 8-7. The Spartans closing the gap with 24.7 seconds left.
The vision of Matt Vetter to see Colin White with the backdoor cut, the rack attack. The Spartans trail 8-7, and what a goal as we have 25 seconds left in the first half. This is just getting going, folks. What a game we got going.
And Colin White has now hit the 50-point plateau on the season as he collects his 41st goal of the season. And now the faceoff, Dickerson wins it, and UT is going to get another opportunity here. And not surprisingly, head coach Rory Whipple is going to call a timeout.
We will get a quick word from Crown Plaza.
Yeah, first of all, very flattered that everybody would come. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions before we move on?
Do you remember the girl wearing the Go Phil shirt following you around?
Yeah.
It's me.
I
It's
do.
been me on several occasions.
I started papering my cubicle with pictures of you.
Do you have a picture of the shrine? I mean, I'd love to see it.
I've got a mental picture of it, and it's
I do too.
pretty weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
I believe that I have a happy marriage because of you, because sometimes I do a little substitution, just mentally.
Whoa.
But
Anyway, Mike, let's...
Special thanks to Phil Mickelson for the word from Crown Plaza as we got a ball game, Bruce, 8-7 on the Sunshine State Digital Network.
And Connor, thank you to Ross Dickerson for exemplifying how important faceoffs can be, because I had talked about the difference between the game clock and the shot clock and how UT wasn't going to be able to use it all up. Well, they score the goal, they win the faceoff, and now they can use the rest of the game clock as there's 19.1 seconds left in the first half. So they're obviously going to work for the last shot, try to tie this up before they go into the 10-minute halftime break.
And isn't it amazing how the game unfolds? This is nearly the identical situation to the first period just for Lynn. Lynn was coming with multiple attacks, and now the Spartans with an opportunity to score 2 goals.
But you also see the difference in the two quarters in that 11 goals between the two teams in the first quarter, and here it's only been 2 apiece. So we've seen a lot of defensive play by both teams here in the second quarter.
And here we go, 19 seconds, Spartans knocking on the door.
And they'll start it in the stick of Brian Wright on the far side of the field. And there's the referee's whistle. Play resumes. Wright takes it behind the net. Wright looking in front. Spins. Sends a pass to Andrew Q. 9 seconds left. Q puts a pass in front. Intended for Colin White. It's missed. Now it's loose on the ground. And the clock is going to run out. So the Spartans not able to get off the quality shot that they hoped for. But nonetheless, they go into halftime trailing by just 1. It's UT trailing 8-7. And we will be back in 10 minutes with the call of the second half.
I love being a Spartan. I love being a Spartan. I love being a Spartan. I love being a Spartan.
I love being a Spartan because I love Tampa.
And because of all the opportunities available for me here.
And because of the gorgeous campus.
Because the people are great, the campus is great, and there's a million majors to choose from.
And because of the large diversity of students.
Amamos UT por todos los amigos que hemos hecho.
And because even though we come from all parts of the globe, we stand as one.
Because everyone's free to be who they are.
For their support of veterans.
Because we're like one big family.
That's my second home away from home.
Because all the professors are really great.
And everybody on campus is super friendly.
Because we found each other.
I love being a Spartan because the student body is as warm as the weather.
Because I hate snow.
I love being a Spartan because of the small
UT music program.
Because we can build close relationships with our professors.
Because the marine biology program is great.
Because they have a very hands-on film program.
Because of the pre-vet program and the campus is fantastic.
Because the art program
At DoubleTree by Hilton, we believe in nice. Not your okay, fine, just being polite kind of nice, but a genuine nice. The kind that's contagious, that you can't help but take with you. The kind of nice you want to share with others. But don't take our word for it. Come for a stay and help us prove nice travels. Book at DoubleTree.com.
Back here with you at the Foley Family Athletic and Intramural Complex on the grounds of the University of Tampa campus in West Central Florida. I am Bruce Wozniak, joined by Connor Moore, and we are all set to start the second half of play here between the visiting Lynn Fighting Knights from down in Boca Raton and the host Tampa Spartans. A halftime score of 8-7 in favor of the visitors, and shots on goal in that first half favored the visitors 13-11. And the Fighting Knights going left to right here as we're set for the face-off to start the third quarter of play between Ross Dickerson and Dryden Browse. And it's Browse who comes out of the circle with it and brings it to the near side and sends a pass to Peter Masters. Masters, as his teammates McCabe and Shalou step on, and it's sent over to Nick McCabe and back to Shalou and to Cosenza. And in that first half, 3 goals scored by Xander Cosenza to match the 3 goals scored by UT's Andrew Q. And McCabe takes a shot, and that one bounces out of play here on the near side.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how both teams adjusted in the intermission.
Xander Cosenza puts it in, sends it up top to Shalou, his pass over. And across the line goes McCabe, a pass down low. And Cosenza calling for it over here. And now they finally get it to him. I don't want to say too late, but he had been open at the time, and he'll go one-on-one now against Nicholas Perrott as it's sent in behind the UT net. Back there now, Mikey Urso. Urso being watched by Hunter Van Horn. They collide briefly, and Urso turns, and now he'll go to his left, and Van Horn still all over him as they pass it in behind the net. And on the doorstep, Brian Karn with the save there on Connor Vaughn, and the Spartans will get possession as Karn whips it across to this side of the field as it started back up by Perrott. He crosses midfield and absorbs a check there, and Perrott is pushed back, finally gets a pass up ahead to Gavin Perry, and Perry sidesteps a check and now completes a pass down into the corner. Matt Vetter sends a pass to Andrew Q that was too much, and now Q takes a shot, and a save made there by McClelland. The rebound is still free, and finally coming away with it is Greg Morissette for the Fighting Knights.
I love the energy the Spartans have in the second half here. Every loose ball they're getting to, they're delivering the checks. And right now, Lynn being forced to have to counter with that same physicality. 2 minutes, a lot of action going here.
And now Shalou is being watched over there by Casey Platanik. And out steps Conrad Rain. They give it to him, and he sends it on the near side to McCabe. McCabe steps over the UT line, looking to beat the defender there, which is Ronnie Scholl. McCabe, here's a pass inside, and no shot there. So it's sent back up top. McCabe will try the other side to Shalou. Shalou, one-on-one there. Barreling into him was Casey Platanik. And the Spartans making Lynn work if they're going to get a quality shot off.
Yeah, less than 15 to shoot now for the Fighting Knights. Got to go quick.
Shalou being watched by Platanik, and Shalou's got nothing. They're going to run out the shot clock, and so they have to throw it away as the Spartans, with a nice job there defensively.
And now the Spartans moving forward. As Bruce mentioned, critical stop they just displayed, and they approach midfield. But the Fighting Knights defense is everywhere, and the Spartans finally get it to Matt Vetter moving across.
Yeah, the Fighting Knights were trying to take a page from the Spartans' defensive playbook and made UT work to advance that one. Now, Jake Moshe McGraw has it, and we'll wait to settle things down as some fresh legs come on the field for the Spartans. And this is Brian Wright with it. Over to Moshe McGraw. Back to Wright again. And to Chris Cox now on the near side. That's Matt Vetter. Vetter has 2 goals and 1 assist in this game and is being watched there defensively by Daniel Louette. Looking to shoot and still holding it. Now Vetter turns the corner and some help defensively. Moshe McGraw's pass sailed over top, and we are going to get a penalty here as Colin White was knocked down as the pass went over his head. Andrew Q, meanwhile, carries on the far side.
Yeah, Tony Collette with the call. Spartans now.
Q, a pass inside, and a backhand shot by Brian Wright goes out of bounds, but we'll have a penalty here coming up against Lynn, and an opportunity for UT to potentially tie the game on a man advantage situation as we wait to see what this call is against the Fighting Knights.
Lynn penalties number 24, Christian Jenkins. 1 minute for unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness on Jenkins. Be a 1-minute penalty. So the Spartans now in business, trailing by 1.
And they put it in. Matt Vetter up top to Brian Wright. Wright looking, gives it to Vetter. Now inside to Cox, who sent it back up top. They work the perimeter. It's Colin White. Down low to Moshe McGraw on the doorstep. And right in front, oh, Colin White couldn't finish. And it goes out of play behind the Lynn net. And the Spartans maintain possession with 36 seconds still on this man advantage.
Pretty play drawn up by Coach Rory Whipple. Spartans looking to replicate that, orchestrating on offense.
Vetter returns to White. Now quickly over to Moshe McGraw and back to Vetter up top again. Cox in front, and that one deflects, and it will go out of play on the far side of the field. Possession remains with UT, but now down to just 17 seconds left on the man advantage. And so Andrew Q puts it in, being watched over there by Conrad Ryan. To Vetter now. Fake the pass and now sends it in, and that one got deflected. It was intended for Brian Wright, and it goes out of play. And they're going to determine that this one's going to go possession Lynn. And so the Fighting Knights will successfully kill off this penalty as it now expires officially on the scoreboard.
Yeah, not sure about that call, but now the Spartans need to get back, get a stop.
And the goaltender McClellan all the way up to his own restraining line sends a long pass, dangerous pass up ahead, and it's going to be chased, and that will roll out of bounds and be turned over. So a possession here for UT, as maybe that one was a makeup call for the other end.
Absolutely, the Spartans locking up on defense, and now in their own right looking to push it downfield.
The goaltender Karn comes out of his net, sends it up ahead. That one's going to go out of bounds, so some sloppy play here all of a sudden as the Spartans get nothing out of that.
Yeah, Spartans now with 12 turnovers, 7 for Lynn, whereas in the face-off department, Spartans are 12 of 19. So when you look at the time of possession, it is nearly identical. Both teams having it about half the game thus far. It'll come down to, like you said, which team can be the least penalized and which team can play the smarter lacrosse.
Nick McCabe to Cosenza. Chase Stokes coming out there to join them. And McCabe, a redshirt sophomore. McCabe leading the team in assists coming into tonight's game and third in points on the Fighting Knights. And this is Cosenza one-on-one against Dylan Carter, and helping out Gavin Perry, some aggressive defense. They score.
How about that? The Fighting Knights expand their lead to 2.
7 minutes, 10 seconds into this third quarter. And so credit the Fighting Knights for fighting through that aggressive Spartans defense as they're able to restore their 2-goal lead.
Yeah, and how about Cosenzo, the leading goal scorer for the Fighting Knights? He came to play tonight, giving it his A game, and he is right now the difference maker. He has propelled his team, is now 4 goals on the night. Quality performance.
And a big face-off win there by Dryden Browse. And so the Fighting Knights, with some adrenaline here, they are able to withstand some sloppy play and a strong UT defensive stand.
And Bruce, obviously playoff implications, but does this not? But this, excuse me, does this game not feel like a playoff game in its own right tonight? Both teams giving it everything they got as it's 9-7.
It does. And now you can see why you have a Lynn team that has won 6 in a row, not to mention a Spartans team that's won 8 in a row. Very talented players here for both sides, as we're seeing a great night of lacrosse here in the final home game of the regular season, and that one is going to go out of play and it'll be turned over. So UT with 6:56 to go in the third quarter with an opportunity here as they start out of their own end.
And you see the Spartan bench enforcing to the team, move it forward, let's get going. And now we see that as they cross midfield, looking to get something going with Matt Vetter.
Pair of twos as Vetter is chased by Evan Kalish for the Fighting Knights, and now Chris Cox faked as though he was going to settle things down, tried to make a start towards the net, and then changed his mind. And they'll reset up top as Moshe McGraw plays a little bit of catch there with Brian Wright. And it's back to Chris Cox on the near side. Cox, they almost clear it out for him and can't get past the close checking there of Daniel Louette. It's loose behind the net, and the Spartans pick up the ground ball and take it to the far side of the field. That's Colin White. White takes a shot, scores! A sneaky shot by Colin White up into the top corner. And so UT able to climb back into a 1-goal deficit. It's 9-8 with 5:56 left in the third quarter.
Spartans needed that gnarly shot that time by Colin White. Little bit of nylon back in the net, 9-8. And we talk about how Lynn came out of the gate in the second half with their foot on the gas pedal. The Spartans that time offensively, they looked extremely sharp.
Colin White, that's his second goal of the game, 42nd of the season. I had mentioned before that he had hit the 50 points plateau on the season, so make it 51 now. And hold on, because the Fighting Knights come out with possession on that face-off.
Yeah, just their 8th face-off they've won so far, so small victory there for Lynn.
But they are closing the gap, because although they've quote-unquote, actually it's 9 now, the Spartans have quote-unquote only won 12, so they're closing the gap in the face-off department, and we're seeing Dryden Browse is a force in the face-off circle. He has won 218 out of 285 face-offs coming into tonight's game, so he's holding his own with the powerhouse that is Ross Dickerson.
Yeah, battle of 2 of the best specialists in the Sunshine State Conference on display.
And Lynn with it in behind the UT net. And back there defensively, Nicholas Perrott for UT whacking at it. They send it over to Shalou. And Shalou now one-on-one with Hunter Van Horn. Shalou sends a pass and a whistle. And possession is going to remain with Lynn. As you hear some fans expressing their displeasure.
Yeah, it's been that kind of game where every call is crucial at this point, neck and neck.
And they reset the shot clock. So for the Fighting Knights, another break that they'll happily accept as they carry on here. McCabe ducks under Hunter Van Horn. Now a pass inside. And here's Cosenza with a good look, and Karn got a piece of that one to deflect it out of bounds.
Major league save that time by Brian Karn just to get a piece of the rocket.
We had mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast That head coach Rory Whipple goes with Brian Karn, the senior, probably because it is senior night rather than BJ Borowski, the sophomore, who is usually the starting goaltender, although I did mention that we do see them split the time at least, albeit usually Borowski the starter. But Karn has played the entire game so far. He's made 8 saves and kept his team in this game as it's just a 1-goal lead for the visitors. Down now to 3:54 to go in the third quarter. And working behind the net once again, Jared Shalou. As the Spartans switch defensively, Jack Tyrell chased him down. Sam Collingwood going back to chase Mikey Urso. And up top now, barreling his way through. A shot taken by Chase Stokes. And Karn covers up the rebound and outlets it quickly. There goes Collingwood across midfield. The Spartans on the move. They cross the Lynn line. There's a pass over. And Q sends a pass in the corner to White, to Matt Vetter. Spartans quickly making the change here as they want to get things going offensively. Or no, there's a call against UT. And so the Fighting Knights catch a break as they get the ball back.
Yeah, more on Brian Karn, Bruce. What a journey it has been for the senior. Obviously, tonight is his ninth senior day as the Spartans force another turnover. Here we go.
Q across the line. Q winds up, shoots, and that one goes wide and out of play, and the ball will go back over to the Fighting Knights. But yes, Brian Karn, a great night for him. Honored before the game and getting to start, and really just being as much of a factor in this game as Andrew Q's 3 goals have been.
And he's been a perfect example for all those young viewers out there not maybe getting the time that you would like to stay poised and stay hungry. Never know when your number might get called. Give a lot of credit to Brian Karn, the senior, playing big minutes tonight.
Stay poised, stay hungry, and stay ready.
Indeed.
And so the Fighting Knights, you see it there with Chase Stokes. Cosenza gives it back to him. And now they move it over on the other side. And skipping down the far side was Conrad Rain. And it's sent back to Cosenza. And now there's Stokes. Stokes looking over for Cosenza. And watching him defensively, Dylan Carter. And Carter going one-on-one as Cosenza starts his move, makes a pass in. It's on the ground, and a couple of them race for it. And the official there, right in place, call that one in favor of the Spartans.
And Tampa getting into their 2-minute drill right now. $1:45 on the clock. What can they do? Lynn applying the pressure. Loose ball.
And Ronnie Scholl lost the handle there, and so the Fighting Knights race in. And there's one.
How about that hit? That is a work of art right now in the Spartans.
Chris Cox on the move across the Lynn line. Cox, his pass is deflected and on the ground, and this one will be picked up by UT. Some aggressive play by Lynn and good hustle there. And the Spartans settling things down after a good play by Ronnie Scholl.
Yeah, this crowd is ecstatic right now.
And Brian Wright has it as we're down to 65 seconds left here in the third quarter. Moshe McGraw to Brian Wright. Wright to Chris Cox. And there's 40 seconds on the shot clock, so a difference of approximately 12 seconds. They will have to get a shot off here. Can't run out the game clock. Here's Andrew Q on the move. Q backs up. Q looking for a pick, and a nice save made there by McClelland. And McClelland keeping his team in this game just as much as we've talked about Brian Karn.
Yeah, McClelland, oh my goodness, he's made some saves today. Easily could be a Spartan lead right now if not for him.
There's Conrad Ryan to pass up ahead. 16 seconds to go in the third quarter. Peter Masters holding it. Masters across the UT line. Masters on the move. Then that one deflects and goes out of play. Possession stays with the Fighting Knights with just 6 seconds left here in the third quarter. Let's see if they can do something with it. Play restarts. And behind the UT net, a spin move there by Connor Vaughn. Vaughn is knocked down and the horn goes to end the third quarter. So we go into the break with Lynn in the lead by 9-8.
And we will get a quick word from Enterprise.
At Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we listen.
And we've been listening for more than 55 years.
To customers and employees.
In fact, there was an Enterprise employee who came up with the idea of picking you up when you need to rent a car.
It was a great idea.
At your house, at the repair shop, we'll pick you up.
Wherever you need us,
we'll be there. Listening. Let us show you what that means.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Back with you here. I'm Bruce Wozniak, joined by Connor Moore. We are in between the third and fourth quarters between the Tampa Spartans, who are looking to extend an 8-game winning streak, and the Lynn Fighting Knights, who are looking to extend a 6-game winning streak. And Connor, one stat that jumps out at me, you see how much this game has become defensive as the game has worn on. It was 6-5 Lynn at the end of the first quarter, and since then the teams have combined for just 6 goals. It was 2-2 in the second, 1-1 in the third, so they've really clamped down, and everyone's having to work for not only quality shots, but to find the back of the net.
Yeah, this has been a 45-minute instance right now. 17 goals have been scored, and now Lynn, they have the 9-8 advantage. But looking at those 2 huddles at the end of the third quarter, the Spartans had significant more energy. So let's see how that goes in terms of, can the Spartans utilize that in these opening minutes of the fourth period to hopefully take the lead. Whereas for Lynn, on the road, what an effort it has been, particularly behind Xander Cosenza. He has given it his A game, and he is the main catalyst right now for the Fighting Knights.
And we were just talking late in the third quarter about the play of both goaltenders. Ironically, they've each made 8 saves, although I still am alarmed by the Spartans committing 15 turnovers, which between the play of McClelland and the 15 UT turnovers, this could be a very different game in favor of UT, but let's see how the final 15 minutes go as play is underway here. And UT in possession. That's Colin White with the acrobatic catch. And White backing towards the corner, now completes that on the near sideline in front of his own sideline as Hanlon sent it to Luke Curran. And now here's Dom Mazza, who we're seeing for the first time in this game.
Yeah, another senior getting honored today. What a beautiful ceremony it was beforehand. And like you said, Bruce, looking to make an impact at a critical point in the ball game.
And it goes back to what we just finished talking about being ready when your number is called for some playing time. And Mazza looking, switches hands. Mazza with a little skip move, takes a long shot, and it bounces out of play.
Colin White at home. Spartans retain it with 29 on the shot clock. Working the X, using a pick from Q. Here comes Colin White, series of cutters.
And up top, Hanlon. Over on the far side is Mazza. Vedder look to have a step. Spins and sends a pass back over on the far side.
Less than 10 to shoot, got to move quick.
And some room there as Colin White on the move and takes a shot. And getting a piece of that one was McClelland. And the ground ball is picked up by the Fighting Knights, and back they go the other way. And whistles all over the place.
Spartans are awarded the ball on the violation. How about this? 13:26 left.
Dom Mazza, I wanted to mention, getting into his 9th game of the season. So as you mentioned, good to see some playing time for the senior as he goes off. And UT in possession here. We are just in the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter in a nail-biter here at the Namoli Family Athletic and Intramural Complex. As this is Brian Wright. And now in behind the net, Colin White sends his pass over to Vedder. Vedder takes a shot, and I don't know that McClellan was ready for that one, but in any event, it went wide and out of play. Possession still with UT as White sends a pass over. Now quickly they set up top with Brian Wright. Wright over to Hanlon, who looked like he wanted to shoot. And now Q gets a pass back. Q over to Hanlon. Back to Q once again. Andrew Q thinking shot. Gives up the pass, and there's one that McClellan stops and settles. And so the Fighting Knights able to thwart another UT offensive possession.
And like we've been saying this entire half so far, how this game is tightened up, and the fine line defense is overpowering right now both offenses. It's only 9-8, and we're the few minutes in to the fourth quarter, so it'll be interesting to see how both teams try to get going offensively. I think transition is going to be the key.
And with it right now, Jared Shalou being watched there by Gavin Perry. Shalou starts his jog, turns it into a little bit of a run, and now puts on the brakes. And back up top with Nick McCabe. McCabe looking to go one-on-one here against Hunter Van Horn. Cosenza shoots it wide and out of play.
Yeah, he's frustrated with himself because that was an open look that time from a reasonable distance. Just airmailed that shot. Spartans prevail.
And at this point, with him having a 4-goal night, you have to account for Xander Cosenza if you're the Spartans. And you see him here calling for it open. And they do get it to him. Cosenza tries to make a move, and that one bounces as he tried to get around Julian Bombart.
And we see on display the Spartans came around with the double team, but they were able to rotate on the back line in time to cover and contest that shot.
And here's another case of where the shot clock is going to run out. This is at least 3 times to my memory, so it may even be more than that, where the Spartans defensively have limited Lynn in such a way as they've turned the ball over on a shot clock violation.
Encouraging for the Spartans here. These defensive stops will pay off eventually if you can continue to get them. Let's see what they can do as they move across midfield.
And Connor, the fans have been on the edge of their seat virtually all night. If they can get a goal here, that could change the whole atmosphere.
The crowd would absolutely erupt. You're entirely right about that, especially to tie the game.
And that could be the edge that the Spartans need to pull in front if they are able to tie the game at 9. As Chris Cox holding it right now and flips it to Brian Wright, who just stepped on.
Yeah, I like this substitution. Brian Wright may very well be the fastest man on the field. Look to get him some open room. Let him operate.
And there's Cox on the move. Chris Cox trying to get around the defender. That's Daniel Louette. And here's Colin White. White has 2 goals and 1 assist in this game.
Pick and roll action with Q.
And Q has been silent. He does have the 3 goals, but they're looking for him to get back on track. Jake Motion McGraw, flags all over the field. 3 flags thrown.
I was about to say that might be the first time in quite a while we've seen all 3 officials unleash the flag.
And this comes 4 minutes and 57 seconds into the fourth quarter, and could possibly open the door for the Spartans here as they get the man advantage, and this could be what they need if they're going to tie this game up. The penalty is called against Christian Jenkins, 1 minute for slashing.
Yeah, like you said, now 60 seconds, Spartans with the advantage. They move the ball so well side to side. Look to do that and get the opening.
But what a difference it is when you get a 1 minute penalty versus the 30. It gives the Spartans time to really set this up and get the shot they want. As you see it passed into the far corner, right back up top to Vetter. Vetter looking, sends it back over to Wright, and now Wright on the move takes the point on this power play over for Vetter. A return to Brian Wright. And see, just like that, 30 seconds in, there's a shot hit the goalpost by Colin White. And Brian Wright thought he had the rebound. He doesn't. Motion McGraw just takes a shot. What a save by Colin McClelland. And 20 seconds left on the man advantage for UT, but the Fighting Knights are going to dodge a bullet there and would be able to kill off the remaining. There's only 8 seconds left now.
Monumental defensive stand that time by the Fighting Knights, but right away the Spartans get the turnover.
Played by Matt Vetter to cause that, and he has it now. So as frustrating as that was for UT, you saw it rung off the goalpost. They are able to get it right back and not even give the Fighting Knights a trip across midfield. And so UT goes right back to setting this up, as there's still plenty of time left here in the fourth quarter, 8 minutes, 35 seconds. And it's Brian Wright starting from way out near midfield. And Wright looking things over, crossing in now over the Lynn line. Wright looks like he's going to cut in front and lost the ball along the way. It's on the field. A bunch of them battle for it, and the Spartans able to come out of the pack with it. Motion McGraw over to Vetter in front, takes a shot that sails over the top of the net and out of play. And the Spartans maintain possession with 24 on the shot clock. And now on the move is Andrew Q. Q all the way up top.
Spartans have had tremendous looks on this series. Just defensive plays have prevailed for Lynn, but the Spartans continuing to knock on the door.
And Peter Masters knocked it away from Brian Q. Wright recovers back over to Q, takes his shot, and McClellan gets a piece of that one. And so the Fighting Knights holding off the Spartans with that dangerous offense that they just need to find another gear for. And the goaltender McClellan outlets it to the far side, and the Knights walk it across midfield. And here's Conrad Ryan.
Yeah, this ball game has slowed down dramatically, now nearing 7 minutes. Looks like we will have a timeout, and that will come at the 7:11 mark, and we will get a quick word from Firehouse Subs.
Robin.
And I'm Chris.
We're the brothers behind Firehouse Subs. The last thing anyone needed was another sub shop.
They needed a better one.
We built Firehouse Subs on quality and quantity.
And I'm the quality.
Why my quantity?
Are you kidding?
Try our hook and ladder sub.
Smoked turkey breast, Virginia honey ham, and Monterey Jack cheese.
Yeah, all served steaming hot on a toasted sub roll. Our way beats their way. If you don't agree,
it's free.
On him.
It's on him.
Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen.
Back live in Connor. What more can you say about the play of Lynn goaltender Colin McClellan? 12 saves now, and has really been tested by this high-octane Spartan offense and not allowing them to get back on track.
Yeah, hats off. Hands down, he is without a doubt had his hands full this entirety of the game, particularly in this period alone, as the Fighting Knights have been short-handed and the Spartans have been giving him everything he can possibly handle. And at this point, 7-11, if you're the Lynn Fighting Knights, you do not want to get too conservative, obviously, as this lead can go away just like that. Whereas if you're the Tampa Spartans, continue to work hard defensively and then try to get that defense to translate into offense.
Well, and with Colin McClellan seeing the ball so well, at this point it may be a quick stick, something on the crease in close. That's going to be what's going to get past him, because he is seeing the ball so well. Those shots from outside just aren't having any success against the junior goalkeeper from Ellicott City, Maryland, as his team in possession now. It's Nick McCabe with it out near midfield and going one-on-one against Sam Collingwood, and starts his run and hits some room, sends a pass back. Shalou over for Cosenza, takes a shot, and Brian Karn may have gotten a piece of that one. And Cosenza's got his spot in the field where he likes to shoot from, and as I said before, the Spartans really need to account for him and know about that spot and have a defender there in place.
Yeah, the Fighting Knights doing a fabulous job running Cosenza off a couple minor ball screens, getting him open, and here he comes again. Spartans pressing, head on a swivel defense.
Dylan Carter working him over defensively, and now a bunch of them collapse on Cosenza. Wide open in front, though. They score! Mikey Urso left unaccounted for, and they're celebrating on the Lynn sideline as though they just won the game, and there's still 6 minutes and 29 seconds left, and a 2-goal lead for the Fighting Knights.
Yeah, and that time you saw the Spartans all converge on Cosenza. That leaves the back door wide open, and Urso slid in there. And the Lynn Fighting Knights first to double digits as they take a 10-8 lead at the 6:29 mark. Spartans, however, were in this position on Wednesday, trailing 12-10 against the Rollins Tars. This will help winning the faceoff with Ross Dickerson.
For Mikey Urso, his 18th goal of the season. and it's assisted by Nick McCabe. And we're going to have a timeout called here, presumably by Tampa coach Rory Whipple.
Yeah, I like this timeout by Coach Rory Whipple. Look to get the offense back in shape as we get a quick word now from Pizza Hut. Make it great.
Your pizza loaded with cheese, then have we got a crust for you. Pizza Hut's ultimate cheesy crust pizza. 16 cheesy pockets overflowing with a 5-cheese blend of melted cheeses. Only from Pizza Hut and only for a limited time. No one out.
In case there's another. And back live now. The team's in the huddle during this timeout as the Fighting Knights fighting for, as you mentioned, a road win, which would make a big statement coming here into UT's home stadium. And this is not an easy place to win. The Spartans are 6-2 at home this season.
And you mentioned this would be a historical win for Lynn in the all-time series. This is the 7th meeting between the two teams. Tampa has been victorious the 6 prior times, and as was the case against Rollins, the Tampa Spartans were 9-0 before that, before getting their 10th victory. So I like this timeout by Coach Rory Whipple. Look to set up some quick offense right now. Plenty of time, 6:17. We all know what can happen in that time frame.
And how quickly the goals can come. And here go the Spartans working to try to get their 9th as they trail 10-8. Brian Wright put the shoulder down, absorbed the check there from Peter Masters. And now Matt Vetter, one of the many seniors honored before the game. And what a career he's had here in the red and white for the Spartans as Moshe McGraw takes a shot, scores! Jake Moshe McGraw from way out.
Yeah, and what a time to insert himself, Bruce. Jake Moshe McGraw, welcome yourself to the party, 10-9.
It took UT 9 minutes and 11 seconds into the 4th quarter to finally get on the board. But a huge contribution there from Jake Moshe McGraw. Chris Cox getting the assist, and it's back to a 1-goal game with 5:49 left here in the 4th quarter.
And we've said it time and time again how deep the Spartans are. Any given point in the game, you do not know which attacker will get their number called upon. And that time, Jake Moshe McGraw did not have a huge impact before, coming up in a big fashion for the Spartans.
And for Moshe McGraw, his 30th goal of the season, as you saw the Spartans win the ensuing faceoff. And now they advance it. And wouldn't they love to see Andrew Pugh find the offense again after he had 3 and hasn't been heard from since. Matt Vetter controlling now on the far side. Moshe McGraw to Chris Cox.
And we see Brian Wright now enter the field as they have just under 50 on the shot clock as we near 5 minutes to go in regulation. Spartans looking to tie it up.
Wright on the move. Completes a pass now right in front. Moshe McGraw, hit the crossbar. Or correction, that was Colin White as Brian Wright runs down the rebound. And Colin White, as the Spartans get a fresh shot clock on the reset after the crossbar, and now a pass down low, and Vetter takes a shot that sails out of play.
Yeah, remarkable. Colin White was even able to catch that acrobatic wingspan. Go up and elevate, young man. 4:40 to go.
Brian Wright working here, takes it up top. Backs up just outside the Lynn line, now back over it. Right on the far side of the field as he'll be followed by Daniel Louette into the corner. And Wright out in front, Colin White, and couldn't get the shot off. Moshe McGraw bounces that one out of play. Possession remains with the Spartans.
Yeah, the hustle by Andrew Q to retain that possession for the Spartans. 40 on the shot clock.
And put it back in quickly. This is Matt Vetter. Vetter, no one else up top to share the ball with. Has to keep it, puts his shoulder down. And now Vetter takes a shot that's going to go out of play. And smartly, Andrew Q back there to make sure that the possession remains with UT. And a player down on the field for Lynn, Peter Masters. Can't tell if that's an equipment issue or if we have an injury here as Masters. And it looks like now they are calling for the training staff to come and take a look at Peter Masters.
And we see the Spartans faithful electrifying here in the stands as the Spartans are granted a new shot clock. Interested, it was 24 prior to that, and the appeal by the Spartans bench is successful, so 4 minutes, 3 seconds to go.
And that's a big shot in the arm because time was going to be a factor insofar as the shot clock was winding down, and now they have the reset. Play resumes. Masters is okay, and Q sends it over for Cox. Vetter to Brian Wright. Colin White, pass over to Moshe McGraw down low, and nothing doing for Andrew Q as he has to pass to Moshe McGraw quickly over to Vetter and back to Moshe McGraw again. We just saw him score that goal to close the gap to 10-9. And now Andrew Q from long distance. That one goes out of play. And possession still with the Spartans. And they've had the ball long enough that they really need to convert at this point, or it's really going to be a lost opportunity.
Yeah, giving it everything they got. Let's see what they have in store.
Brian Wright. Q to Cox. Back to Q again. And to Cox one more time. Q's going to try Brian Wright instead. And Wright over the Lynn line back to Q. And Andrew Q has gone silent, but the Fighting Knights sure to account for him. And a pass, that one going to be turned. Now we have a flag that's going to be thrown.
Yeah, unnecessary roughness without a doubt. That was not a needed hit. The ball was already past Brian Wright, and we see the excessive hit to the upper body. Costly penalty for the Fighting Knights with 2:55 to go. Not sure what you're doing there in this critical time in the game.
But a good break for the Spartans because, as I said, they had a tremendous time of possession there and really had nothing to show for it. So what a letdown that was going to be if the play went back the other way. And instead, rather than watching Lynn go the other way, they're going to come away with a man advantage here as a penalty is called against Daniel Louette. 1 minute for cross-checking.
And we will get a word from the official dining services of the University of Tampa, proudly sponsored by Sodexo.
It's not about any one thing. It's about how everything comes together, how it all connects. People, ideas, resources, community, everything. Quality of life services. That's what we do. Sodexo.
Back live here as we are in a timeout in what has been a very entertaining evening of lacrosse as the Spartans are getting ready to start another man advantage. 4 penalties called against the Fighting Knights so far this evening. And the Spartans do have a man advantage goal to their credit.
Yeah, this game has lived up to what it expected to be on paper. The top 2 teams in the Sunshine State Conference, everything you could have expected and more. We got 2:55, and you can hear the noise from the Spartan faithful here in Namoli. Senior Day, they want an encore. What can the Spartans do out of the Rory Whipple timeout?
And here they go as they'll put it in play over on the far side of the field. Cox to Vetter to Wright. Fake the pass, and now they try the hidden ball trick. White in front, they score! Jake Moshe McGraw, who had cut it to a 1-goal game, ties it. And the Spartans with a quick power play goal, and it's 10-10.
Big time players make clutch plays. Jake Moshe McGraw, gripping to rip it. We got a brand new ball game, 10-10.
His 31st goal of the season. And timely, Matt Vetter getting the assist as there's just 2:42 left here at regulation time, and throw away everything that's happened up to this point. This is a 2-minute and 42-second game now.
And Coach Roy Whipple over there smiling. He knows he called that play.
And Ross Dickerson with a huge face-off win there as Jack Tyrell sends it over to the other side of the field. And now UT in the person of Gavin Perry will advance across midfield.
And the Spartans 1 goal away from the promised land.
And now Perry leaves it for Jake Moshe McGraw, who has come on here with his team's only 2 goals of this quarter. And now the Spartans have outscored Lynn 3-2 in this second half, which has been the difference after they were 2-2 in the second, and the 1 goal difference had been a 6-5 lead in favor of the Fighting Knights after 1 quarter. And this is Colin White over for Chris Cox. Cox on the move. Cox shakes off the check. His pass over for Brian Wright. Right as they switch defensively, do the Fighting Knights. There's a shot and a goal post that helped out.
And it's a new shot clock. Under 90 seconds right now. Crunch time. Crowd on the edge of their seat on the TampaSpartans.tv.
Jake Moshe McGraw. And now the challenge becomes, do we watch him because he's got the hot hand and just scored 2 in a row? And do we forget about Andrew Q, who had 3 back in the first half? Let's see how head coach Brian Kingsbury has his players defend on this UT possession. Brian Wright on the move. And Wright's going to send it up top for Moshe McGraw. Quickly, Cox over for Vetter, starts his move towards the net. A player goes down, takes a shot. That one goes out of play. And there's 47 seconds on the game clock and 33 on the shot clock. And these fans are on the edge of their seats and have been almost since the game's opening faceoff. What a great game.
Here we go.
Starting out of the corner, Andrew Q thought he was going to have an opportunity there, but shut down by Daniel Louette. There's a pass, Colin White, and defending was Evan Kalish, who wasn't going to allow the follow-through on the shot, and as a result, Lynn's going to get an opportunity here with 25 seconds left, and the Spartan defense is going to have to really tighten up, and instead, head coach Brian Kingsbury says, I want to settle things down and take a timeout and talk about this before we just run down on emotion.
We'll get a quick word from Embassy Suites.
Whoever said that less is more or less mathematically challenged. Less isn't more, it's less. And the only thing more than more is a lot more, which is exactly what I get at Embassy Suites. More space. More downtime. More family time. More me time. More me time. More me time. Because the more and more I have, the more I have to have more.
More room, complimentary drinks, free breakfast. Embassy Suites Hotels.
Back live, and Connor, no secret that if you're the Fighting Knights, you're probably going to be looking for Xander Cosenza already in this game. He has 4 of his team's 10 goals, so the Spartans certainly need to account for number 9.
Yeah, he's been the primary player for the Fighting Knights on the offensive side of the ball. Spartans will definitely lock in on him, but now for the Fighting Knights and Brian Kingsbury, this is their chance. They can make 1 play, and that's all it could take.
But it's also a great opportunity for another Brian, goaltender Brian Karn, the senior. And he's been strong between the pipes tonight. 8 saves for him. Played the whole game in goal for UT. And here we go. 15 seconds left in regulation. There's a shot from McCabe. He scores very quickly. Nick McCabe and the Fighting Knights.
An unlikely source, Bruce. Not expecting that, but I believe the Fighting Knights expected that. He's open. He scores. And what a time.
11.9 seconds left. And Nick McCabe with a huge goal for the visitors. And that's his second goal of the game to go with 2 assists. So as much as we talked about Xander Cosenza with his 4 goals, a 4-point night from McCabe, including that huge goal. And it all rests on this face-off now.
Yeah, basically a must-win face-off right now for Ross Sigurdsson if the Spartans want any chance to force overtime.
Be interesting to see if he wins the face-off, if he immediately calls timeout. And there it is. And he's taken down.
Spartans ball with 8 seconds.
8.2 seconds left. The Spartans trail by 1.
We have some drama at Namoli.
Moshe McGraw to Chris Cox. Cox back to Moshe McGraw, and that one sails high and out of play. 3 seconds still remain as the Fighting Knights are wanting to celebrate. Still 3 seconds though. And let's see what Brian Wright does with this one. And there's the restart. They send it out, and it's going to be knocked down, and they won't get a shot off. The horn goes, and the Fighting Knights come running out on the field to celebrate with their goaltender, Colin McClelland, as UT had come from behind to knot it at 10, but a late goal by Nick McCabe is the difference. And so the Spartans unfortunately see their 8-game winning streak come to an end, whereas for the Fighting Knights, they now extend their winning streak and up that mark to 7 in a row. And overall, the team's won-loss records, Tampa falls to 11-5, and the Fighting Knights improve to 10-3. But more importantly, Sunshine State Conference play, Tampa now 5-1, and Lynn improves to 5-1.
Yeah, first off, it was a valiant effort by both sides. Both teams were good enough tonight to be victorious. Hats off, Lynn. They made the plays late. They deserve the credit, and an historical victory for them, defeating the Tampa Spartans for the first time in 7 career meetings. And you said it best, Bruce. Both teams now 5-1, and playoffs are near. It's getting to be good that time of the season. What a ball game, both sides. It was a fight to the finish. Lynn prevails by the skin of their teeth, 11-10.
And so we'll see what happens next Saturday. The Lynn Fighting Knights return home to play St. Leo, a 1 o'clock start. And for UT, their final game of the regular season coming up the same day. That'll be a road game, 1 p.m. on the 20th at Palm Beach Atlantic. And do stay with TampaSpartans.com upon the completion of the regular season for playoff information. Tonight, the final score, Lynn 11, UT 10. Xander Cosenza leads the winners with 4 goals. The Spartans got 3 from Andrew Hugh and a 4-point night from Matt Vetter with 2 goals and 2 assists, but not enough as their 8-game losing streak comes to an end. For Connor Moore, I'm Bruce Wozniak, thanking you for watching. Have a good night.